Hello, everybody, and welcome to the top 5 new comics for October 9th of 2024. I'm, as always, Chris, and I got a really cool slate of books this week. Actually shocking myself. Last week was a very DC-centric week. This week, a little bit of the same, but also no Marvel. There's a guy who loves Marvel comics. What's going on, Marvel? Why aren't you in my top 5? We'll have to figure that out. Anyways, let's start with 100% my pick of the week. Absolute Batman number 1. This is written by Scott Snyder with art by Nick Dragotta, colors by Frank Martin, letters by Clayton Cowles. It's Scott Snyder back on Batman, everybody. I mean, with DC All In just happening, all the excitement that came through that, the end of Absolute Power, and how they're reshaping the DC universe. Spoilers, I guess, for Absolute Power and DC All In. You've had a while to read it. But the DC characters are now trapped in their own universe. They can no longer see the multiverse. They can no longer visit the multiverse. And while that's happening, they're trying to rebuild the Justice League into this new thing, bring back in the Watchtower, trying to basically solidify their ability to save people on Earth. And while that's happening, Darkseid somehow gets hold of Spectre. He combines with him, attacks the Justice League, gets shooed off into this other universe, and creates what is his perfect universe. And with that, he creates his perfect Trinity, all the other heroes we know. There's just so many cool ideas coming from here. I like that not only are they trying to do an Ultimate Universe-like series, but they're doing it in their own way. They're not just calling it another universe and saying this is the Ultimate Universe. They actually tied it in with the whole storyline that's going on with DC All In. They put Darkseid at the center of the whole thing. Just everything here looks phenomenal with how they're doing it, and I'm really excited for Absolute Batman. It just looks like so much fun. And I'm excited to see Scott Snyder back at DC doing some cool stuff. Was always a big fan of everything he did there. After that, Action Comics number 1070. This is written by Mark Waid and Mariko Tamaki with art by Clayton Henry and Skylar Patridge with colors by Matt Herms. So 2 creative teams on this book. No offense to Mariko and Skylar. I'm looking forward to their story as well. It's a Supergirl story. I'm really excited to see Skylar Patridge get some work in mainstream comics. She's been doing a lot of independent work throughout her career and has been killing it across everything she's done. She's an amazing artist. Mariko's been writing some really cool stuff. I do like Supergirl as a character. Really excited for that storyline. This enters my top 5 because of Mark Waid and Clayton Henry, though. Bringing those 2 together on a Superman story that is now going to be a weekly book for a little bit, just awesome. Anytime Mark Waid wants to do anything with Superman, I'm there for it. The man knows Superman better than anybody on this planet and has had a just amazing track record of telling great Superman stories. And I like the idea of this taking place inside the Phantom Zone while Superman has to investigate something going on. He may or may not get trapped there, but there's something going on with the Phantom Zone that he needs to figure out. And that just sounds like an awesome time to me. Everything here looks like a lot of fun. Everything here sounds like a great story. Having Mark Waid back on Superman again. Yes, we've had him on World's Finest, and we've had him on a few other books, but have him on a pure Superman book again makes me very happy. And I've been really impressed with what DC's been doing with Superman over the past 2 or 3 years now. Ever since kind of giving it a revamp, letting Phil Kennedy Johnson finish his run, which I did also enjoy, but then giving it to Joshua Williamson, who I feel like has brought something back to Superman, which was the reason I loved the character. And then using Action Comics as a vehicle to tell different stories throughout his timeline, throughout his career, and letting different creators jump on board. And now we're back after a good run with Gail Simone, and we got Mark Waid and Clayton Henry taking over. This is going to be a good book. I love that it's weekly. That means we can keep going with the action every week and really follow it. And I just can't wait to see what Mark Waid has in store for good old Clark Kent. After that, I have Batman, Full Moon #1. This is written by Rodney Barnes with art by Artist-Stevan Subic. The good old DC Black Label book. I really enjoy the Black Label series that DC's been doing. These kind of more mature, more adult, more almost R-rated comics that tell stories outside of continuity, so we don't got to worry about all of that. We can just tell cool stories about these characters. Yes, it is mostly Batman and these Black Label books. I get it. But so far, I've really enjoyed all the Batman books they've been doing, so I can't complain too much. Rodney Barnes is a creator who I've seen some of his work, and I've really enjoyed it. It's actually one of my great sins in comics is that I've never read Philadelphia, and there's so many reasons I should be reading that book, and it is on my list. But to see him doing a Batman book, adding in lichens, werewolves, whatever we want to call them, into the mythology, just sounds like a ton of fun. I love the dark nature of it. The cover is so fantastic. That black and white cover that's all silhouette. There's just so much here that seems like it's going to be a good time all around, and hitting just at the right time too. I love when we get these books and they're announced in the summer and we're like, that sounds cool. But then when it comes around, it's almost Halloween. We're in the spooky season. This is the kind of stuff I want on the shelves ready for me around this time of year. And this book in particular, I'm just super looking forward to it. I think it's one of those Batman titles this year that has the chance to be something really cool, really special, really fun. After that, I have Star Wars Ewoks #1. This is written by Steve Orlando with art by Laura Braga and edited by Grace Orris and Robert Simpson. Y'all know I'm a big Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars. I read all the Star Wars books. I just think the Marvel has been doing a phenomenal job with Star Wars stuff since they took over the license back whatever year that was now. And we're at that point in the timeline where they're telling post Return of the Jedi stories, which was the time I really wanted them to get to for so many reasons. One, when we first saw the new trilogy that came out, that first movie was so much fun and I really enjoyed it. Obviously, we all know what happened from there. We won't talk too much about that. But there's this giant gap of time in between where so much happens. And there were so many interesting stories that could be told inside that time. Now, they're doing it smart with the Alex Segura series and telling the story directly after the Battle of Endor and how that ties in to the Battle of Jakku. This book in particular, taking place right after the Battle of Endor, telling a story about Ewoks and kind of their whole role post Return of the Jedi, I'm all for. Personally, I love the Ewoks. Ewoks are fantastic. If you hate the Ewoks, I don't know what's wrong with you. But this is a book that is just going to be very close to my heart in so many ways because of the stories it's trying to tell, the characters it's bringing in. I mean, Wicket is the main character. Love Wicket. I got Wicket stuff all over this house. So for this book in particular, it just seems like something that is going to be right down my alley and be a ton of fun. And I think for Star Wars fans, Lapsed fans, people who weren't really getting the comics, this is a great time to get back into Star Wars comics because we're in an interesting timeline where while you kind of know where it ends up, there's so many questions that can be answered inside this time period. And there's so many cool stories, and we could stick here for a long time. It's not like between Empire and Jedi where we're talking about less than a year's time. This is almost a lifetime. We go from before Ben Skywalker, Kylo Ren, is born to him becoming a Sith Lord. That's a whole almost lifetime right there. So I think there's going to be a lot of fun to be had here. And to start it off with Alex's book and now Ewoks just seems perfect for me. So I'm really looking forward to this book. And we will end with Public Domain number 9. This is written and drawn by Chip Zdarsky. I've been talking about this book for years now, it feels like, and we're only 9 issues in, but I just love Public Domain. It's one of those books that for comic book fans, people are really into the industry, into the behind the scenes, which obviously I'm one of these people. It's a book that really shows what's going on, what creators are going through, what the older creators in particular are going through, and how this extreme situation where a guy who worked on a character that became beloved somehow ends up getting it back and being able to reintroduce it to the world as his own again alongside his family. So it's a family story, it's a comic story, it's almost a slice of life story, but it's done in such a way that hits emotional beats that I think any comic fan can relate to. And in this issue in particular, we're going to definitely not San Diego Comic-Con, but San Diego Comic Expo to introduce this new book that they're creating to the world for the first time. And I'm sure any comic creator, but Chip in particular, has plenty of Comic-Con stories to tell that can be introduced in this book. And it's just promises to be a good time. We're 9 issues in. I believe the first volume was 6 issues long, so we still got a few more to go. I don't know how long he plans on doing it until he takes another step away from it or ends it or what he's doing. But as long as this book is here, I'm here for it because it is one of my favorite books on the shelves every month. So everybody, thank you so much for watching this week. Remember, you can support me in multiple ways. You can go on Twitter, Facebook, or whatever social media you use, at Fortress Chris. I'm there. And you can go to chriscomicscorner.substack.com, where all of my reviews, anything I write is right on that page right there. You can subscribe there, enjoy all the content. And also you can find the Fortress Comic News podcast, which we post right here on this YouTube channel or on podcatchers if you're more of a podcast person like myself. And if you want to support this video in particular, comment down below what comics you're most looking forward to, what on my list you think is the best. Whatever you think, comment down below, let me know. Let's interact. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and do all that. Thank you all so much for watching this week. I'll see you here next week.